Rain lashed down on the abandoned outpost, turning the dirt paths into rivers of mud and ash. The world, called Krythos 7, had long since been stripped of its beauty, its forests burned for fuel, its rivers poisoned with chemical runoff, its skies thick with the black smoke of industry. It was a planet the galaxy had forgotten, a place only smugglers, mercenaries, and the desperate still called home. And tonight, beneath the crack of thunder, screams carried through the storm. Corporal Daniel Kane had been passing through the outskirts when he heard them. The man was a human soldier turned drifter, carrying nothing but a rifle, a battered coat, and scars too deep to count. He had no interest in the affairs of this planet. He had seen too much suffering in too many wars to go looking for more. But the screams, they stopped him cold. They were sharp, panicked, and undeniably young. Daniel cursed under his breath and moved toward the noise, his boots sinking into the mud. The source wasn't hard to find. In the center of a broken courtyard stood a group of Vorrak soldiers, hulking reptilian creatures with scales like black iron and eyes that glowed faintly red in the rain. They were notorious throughout the galaxy for their brutality: pirates, raiders, slavers. The kind of scum who burned villages for sport. And in the middle of them was a girl. She couldn't have been more than 16, slender, silver-skinned, with luminescent blue markings that ran like veins along her arms. Her clothes were little more than rags, and her wrists were bound to a steel post. One of the Vorrak held a shock whip, and every few seconds, he lashed it across her back. The crack of the weapon mixed with her screams. The others laughed. Daniel froze in the shadows, rain dripping from the brim of his coat. He counted 6 Vorrak soldiers, all armed, all bigger than him. Their weapons glinted faintly under the lightning, blasters, knives, the kind of hardware that could cut a man in half. Common sense told him to walk away. This wasn't his fight. But when the whip cracked again, and the girl collapsed into the mud, too weak to even scream this time, something in him snapped. He stepped out of the shadows. "Hey!" Daniel's voice cut through the storm.
"Come."
"Even. Lethal. That's enough." The Vorrak turned. The one holding the whip sneered, his teeth like rows of knives. "Walk away, human. This is Vorrak business." Daniel's hand rested casually on the rifle slung over his shoulder. "Looks like cruelty to me." "She's a thief," another Vorrak growled. "Stole from our stores. We're teaching her a lesson." Daniel's eyes flicked to the girl. She was shaking, her silver skin mottled with bruises, her face streaked with mud and blood. Her eyes, large, glowing faintly violet, met his for a heartbeat. They were filled with terror and something else.
Hope.
Daniel took a slow breath. "Let her go. I won't ask twice." The Vorrak laughed. The leader, a mountain of muscle with a jagged scar across his snout, stepped forward. "Or what, little man? There are 6 of us. One of you. You think that rifle makes you a hero?" Daniel didn't answer. He just moved. The first Vorrak didn't even have time to raise his weapon before Daniel's rifle barked once, the shot tearing through his chest and sending him sprawling into the mud. The courtyard exploded into chaos. Blasters came up. Daniel dropped to one knee, fired twice more. 2 Vorrak collapsed before they could even aim. He rolled behind a crumbling wall as plasma bolts scorched the air where he'd been standing. The girl screamed again as one of the Vorrak grabbed her by the arm, dragging her toward cover. Daniel popped up from behind the wall, shot the Vorrak through the throat. The alien fell without a sound, releasing her. The leader roared, charging straight through the gunfire, swinging a massive blade. Daniel sidestepped at the last second, driving his rifle but into the creature's jaw, then pulled his sidearm and put a bullet straight through his skull. The last Vorrak tried to run. Daniel shot him in the back before he made it 3 steps. And then, silence. Rain pattered softly on the bodies. Steam rose where the plasma fire had scorched the ground. Daniel lowered his rifle slowly, heart hammering, breath sharp in his chest. The girl was staring at him. Up close, she looked even younger, barely more than a child. Her skin shimmered faintly under the rain, like metal catching moonlight. She was trembling, eyes wide, her breath coming in ragged bursts. Daniel moved toward her slowly, careful not to startle her. "You're safe now," he said quietly. She flinched when he reached for the bindings, but didn't pull away. With a quick cut of his knife, the ropes fell free. The girl swayed on her feet. Daniel caught her before she collapsed. "Easy," he murmured. "I've got you." Her lips moved, but no sound came out. "Can you walk?" he asked. She nodded weakly. They left the courtyard behind, the storm washing away the blood. Daniel led her to an abandoned shack on the edge of the outpost, a place with a roof, at least, and a half-broken stove for warmth. He found a blanket in his pack, wrapped it around her trembling shoulders. She sat silently by the flickering stove, eyes fixed on the fire. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Finally, Daniel asked, "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Lyra," she whispered. Her voice was hoarse, barely there. "I'm Daniel." She nodded faintly, as if the name meant nothing to her. As the fire crackled, Daniel studied her injuries. Bruises covered her arms and back. A gash along her temples still bled sluggishly. He cleaned the wound with water from his canteen, wrapped it with a strip of cloth. She didn't flinch, didn't make a sound. Too much pain, he realized. Too much fear. When he handed her a piece of dried ration bread, she devoured it like she hadn't eaten in days. Only when the worst of the hunger faded did she finally speak again. "They were going to kill me," she said softly. Her violet eyes glimmered in the firelight. "For stealing food." Daniel's jaw tightened. Vorrak justice was no justice at all. "Where's your family?" he asked. Her gaze dropped to the floor. "Gone," she whispered. Daniel didn't press further. Outside, the storm raged on. Daniel knew the gunfight would draw attention. Vorrak didn't take kindly to losing men. By morning, there'd be a price on his head, and maybe hers too. He should leave her here. Walk away before trouble found him. But when he looked at the girl huddled by the fire, thin and bruised and so damn young, he knew he wouldn't. She had no one. And for reasons he couldn't name, Daniel Kane couldn't stand the thought of walking away. By dawn, the rain had stopped. Smoke still rose faintly from the ruined courtyard. Daniel packed his gear, slung his rifle over his shoulder, and nodded toward the door. "Come on," he told Lyra. "We're getting off this rock." She stared at him, wide-eyed. "Why?" "Because they'll come looking for you," he said simply. "And I don't plan on letting them find you." For a long moment, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she stood and followed him into the pale morning light. That was the beginning of running, the beginning of fighting back, the beginning of a girl with nothing left, finding someone who refused to leave her behind. And for Daniel Kane, a man who thought he'd seen the worst the galaxy had to offer, it was the beginning of everything.